Hi, Sophie.
Sarah, how are
Oh,
you?
hi. Good. Let me figure out my video. Hi, there you are. We always use Zoom for our conferences now, and so I'm always like, I can't have the microphone on or the video because I don't want anyone
Yeah.
to see my face.
Unfortunately, that doesn't fly in my online classes.
Really? Do you guys have
Yeah.
to like always be present?
Yes.
I guess that makes sense, huh? They have to like make sure you're like going to class and staying there kind of thing. So you
Yeah.
can't like put a photo of yourself or something.
No, I could probably figure it out. I just haven't yet.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Let me get set up here.
Okay.
How are you doing today? Are you like
I'm doing
surviving?
good. I'm healthy. My family's healthy, so that's good.
That's
Um, yeah, I'm in Dayton, Ohio, so we don't have, I don't know, it's not that bad yet, I guess, here.
Yeah, I know. So my family is all from Ohio, and
Okay.
I like grew up in Ohio.
Mhm.
And so our family, my partner John too, all of our families are all there, and so hopefully healthy. I keep
Yeah.
telling them not to leave, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, how you work in the emergency room in Seattle?
yeah, I do. I do. So I went to Miami and then Ohio State, and then I started in June of this year. So just moved out here. So first year as a doctor has been very fascinating, but it's been
Yeah.
working. It works.
I'm sure that you've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions for this interview.
Yeah.
Um, we kind of touched on a little bit a second ago, but can you tell us about what you've been doing in your career since graduating from the Leadership Institute, including any schooling that you've gone to?
Yeah, sure. So I graduated from Miami in 2015 and then went straight to Ohio State, actually, the School of Medicine there. And that's kind of where I started medical school, 4 years there. And then this last March is when we match, and I matched into University of Washington in Seattle. My partner John came with me, luckily, and so I matched into emergency medicine. And what that kind of means is like we rotate in the ERs, but we also rotate in the ICUs here, the operating rooms, and kind of different places to get a good flavor and a good vibe of everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been kind of pretty fun, but kind of crazy.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, yeah. We definitely get to see a lot of different things. Like our population here is pretty crazy in the sense of we rotate in the county hospital here at Harborview, which is a level 1 trauma center. And then we also rotate at the University of Washington, which is like straight academics, like a lot of people with crazy cancers coming in and things. So different populations for sure, but good experiences.
That's good. You get
Yeah.
a little taste of everything.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, since going from college to work, what were like some of your biggest obstacles going into the work world or going to medical school?
Yeah, I think I think from going from Miami to medical school wasn't much different, right? It seems
Mhm.
kind of similar. There's more of the clinical rotations as you go, but there's definitely a jump from medical school to residency, as I would think like from, undergrad to going into an engineering company or lab work or whatever someone might do. But I was kind of thinking about this, and I think that really schooling in general just kind of gives you the toolbox that you need, like the different type of tools and the way to go, and then you bring that with you to whatever your career might be. Like you're not going to use every tool in the toolbox, but knowing what tool to use when is kind of the I guess, the challenge of going into a career. And a lot of real world problems too are just like super messy. They're not like the basic, right? Like it's an essay form and you fill out, or multiple choice. Like real problems kind of suck, and not suck, but are just harder to manage.
Right.
And so, like, we take care of a lot of opioid users, for example, in the emergency department, and keeping those people alive is actually probably the easiest part, and probably the part that I learn in med school, and what you kind of learn as you go through your schooling. But the other things surrounding that, like that person's probably homeless, like where are they going to go after their ED stay? and hey, they probably have a mental health disorder, an addiction disorder, and what are we going to do to manage that? And so kind of looking at all these different things and not just answering the one question is what makes kind of real world problems harder, but more rewarding in the end.
Yeah. Were there any strategies when you went into your career after all of the schooling that you used to like kind of figure out what you needed to do to solve these harder problems that you're facing?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is those soft skills. And I remember Professor Mormon always teaching us the soft skills. And, you know, you have to remember like conflict resolution and your communication style and your leadership style. And I remember sometimes, right, like you don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel, but especially now when I chose a path where I'm actually not using probably any of my engineering, curriculum, the 4 years that I spent. But what I am using is a lot of those soft skills. So conflict resolution, for example, like learning to manage with nursing and other consultants all the time in the emergency department. Like you have conflicts all the time, and being able to, keep things professional is really important. I think communication too, and figuring out what your communication style is really, really important kind of going into a career. Like the way that I communicate through, when someone's coding or when, there's a very intense process in the department versus how I communicate with patients' families, at an end of life discussion or something is just very different. So I think that's really important. So yeah, I think it's really about just focusing on those soft skills and kind of taking them from there.
Yeah, I agree. We learn a lot of that in the Leadership Institute.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
So some things that we talked about last year in the Institute, we're developing a vision statement, kind of thinking about our futures and putting together a leadership development plan. Are any of those things like carried into your job, and do you think about them, or have they changed since graduating undergrad?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I don't call it a leadership development plan anymore, but like it's the same process, right? Like we have a kind of here at Harborview and through our emergency department, we have, monthly to even closer times of reflection with our leadership and kind of saying, hey, are we on the right path to where we want to go? And what I've kind of gathered is, there's where I want my career to go and what I look at. And I sit down with my mentors, and I think, developing those relationships, just like you're doing in undergrad, is so important. But I also think it's a good time to, when you're thinking of your development plan, to also think of your values and the priorities that you want to put in place. And so that's something I really did at the beginning of intern year, because I work a lot right now, but I also want to make sure that I have a good balance and don't go completely crazy. And so I think it's just very valuable to really sit down and look at that, and assess where hard lines are for you. Like, for example, I have now, one of my biggest values is respect. Not only respect outwardly, but inwardly. And I think so it's important for, mindfulness and time for yourself, but also how you're respecting others, because the way you respect others is the way that, they respect you back. And that is super, super crucial in kind of the department, and making sure our consultants and each other are respectful and professional. So that's something that's really important to me and what I've kind of continued through. And then of course, like most people, I have those specific, career aspirations and things, and really come back and reflect on those monthly, if not more often. I think right now, since, we have more time to sit around, maybe the reflection should be more.
Yeah. How have things changed for you with the virus?
Oh yeah, COVID-19 has had some really fun adventures, and has made this year a little challenging, more challenging, I guess, than most. But so I guess just an update from the questions that I always are asked is, being in Seattle and things, we were some of the first people to get hit. And our hospitals are really getting hit hard at this point. We really are running out of personal protective equipment, or PPE. We aren't out of ventilators yet. I know these are all the things on the news, but the truth is I keep up to date on like how can we use one ventilator for 2 to 4 people, and like what would that look like? And so we're really going into that. Our leadership has really changed into how we're looking at surge planning. So what I mean by that is a lot of our residents are getting pulled from our rotations and getting pulled back into the emergency department. So I will solely be working kind of in the children's hospital in this next month and things. So it's hard in that sense, because a lot of us were looking forward to these other services that we were going to rotate on, and what does that look like for our learning down the road? I think there's a lot of questions. And with that, though, I think our leadership here has done a really good job at keeping us updated. So we get our daily emails as to how many COVID positive patients we have in-house, what we are doing to kind of mitigate risk for not only our patients, but our providers as well. And just having the support of our resident family too. We have Zoom meetings all the time actually about, who's, what's the biggest conundrum today and like, how are we going to kind of fix it? As well as different resiliency committees, and even our attendings bought us socks, like all of us have now, and we'll just have to see how it all goes out.
All right.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Hopefully this crazy time will better prepare you for things in the future, or prepare you differently than maybe if everything was just normal right now. Who knows?
Yeah. And I think that's what's really important for all of us, is we just have to kind of reflect on this time and, take it as an opportunity instead of being disgruntled with it, because the negative effects I think are unfortunately going to be there. But I think if we can try to find some light in it, at least, it'll make this process a little easier. So
Yeah.
We'll see. How are things at Miami? Well, I guess you're not at Miami. You're taking, but you're close.
Yeah, it's good. We're all online. So a lot of our classes are live online video chats. And then other classes are pre-recorded right now. And then as far as the Institute for the Embracing Change Summit, we had to quickly change courses and make everything online. But I'm excited. I feel like everything's been a pretty smooth transition as far as classes and moving out and communications with the university. Everyone's made it as smooth as possible. So
that's good. Good to hear.
Yeah. All right. Other than that, I don't have any more questions. Do you have anything else for me?
No. So how are you guys going to set this all up? What's your game plan? I saw that it was like 2 hours or something of a live conference and things.
Yeah.
I remember you. What's all the, I guess, what's the schedule like this year? I don't know if Louise sent it to me.
So what we're planning on doing is we have Julie Elberfeld from Capital One as our keynote speaker, and she's going to be speaking on inclusivity at Capital One and how embracing change ties into all of that. And then our cohort has our spiel on what we've learned and why we think embracing change is important and how it's going to affect us in the future with digital transformation, and how we often think that like a lot of the blue collar jobs are the ones that are going to be eliminated, when really everyone's kind of at risk of being replaced by a robot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we've read a lot of books, done a lot of research, and had a lot of discussions around that. And then we also have these interviews with our alumni to see where they're at now and how things are changing for them and what it's been like moving from undergraduate to their professional lives. So
nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
What year are you, Sophie?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you excited to, only have one more year, I guess, right? Or are you staying on here?
No, I only have one more left. I'm really excited. I have an internship over the summer, and I am excited to experience the real world and
Yeah.
prepare myself to go out into the industry. So
Yeah, internships can be really fun. Where are you going? Are you staying local?
I'm not sure of my location yet, but I'll be with Avery Dennison, and they make like the peel and stick labels. So
Oh, very cool.
yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. And then what's your degree? What are you working towards?
I'm
What
in
did you
chemical engineering.
Chemie. Okay.
Mhm.
Very cool. That's
What did
awesome.
you do when you were in undergrad?
I was bio. So I was bioengineering. And then I think it was like junior year. I was like decided to go into engineering forever. And then junior year, I was like, oh, maybe I'll apply to med school. And I don't know. Most people are like, I've been wanting to be a physician since I was 5. And I was like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I didn't really know that. But,
Was there something that happened for you that like changed everything?
So I did research into junior year, kind of the same time, like the summer after, or maybe the summer before sophomore year, or after sophomore year, like going into junior year.
Yeah.
I did research in with Dr. Saul. I don't know if he's even there anymore, but he's a bioengineer guy. And like it was fine, but I kind of realized I was like, I do not want to do lab work at all. Like this is awful.
Yeah.
And so I kind of decided at that point that I wanted to think of other things. And I don't remember like a light bulb moment when I was like, oh, I'm going. But I kept thinking about it and then finally decided to apply. But I do remember sitting like a lot of my Lockheed classes when I'd sit there, and always the question I would ask any like awesome CEO or whoever would come talk to us is like, how did you get here? Or, like, what was your process? And they always said, oh, well, I just, found my way and like did this and da 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 da. And it's so true. And I wish I like had the one thing for someone to do, because people ask me that and I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes you just gotta go different ways and it kind of figures yourself out. So
Yeah.
anyways, but I wish you a lot of luck. I hope the internship goes well and everything with all the COVID craziness. But
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And good luck at work, and
Thanks.
thank you for all of the work that you're doing in the
yeah. It's been a fun process for sure. Well, stay home and stay healthy if you can.
I will. You
Good.
too.
Or wash your hands.
Thank
you should just get a t-shirt that says that at this point. But
we should.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, thank you for chatting with me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Reach out anytime. Bye.